on, everybody? Bones here with CAJUN. Today is another episode of Cheap Easy Meals with Bones. Now, I've been wanting to get to this for a little while now. It's been about a year and a half. A little more than a year. Close to a year and a half. Since I did the light roux version. The blonde roux. Now that one's not a more popular version. Because that one involves oil and flour, and that one turns to be more of a blonde roux. You can get it with very long time to become a dark roux, but it tends to be more of a blonde roux. Now, that one happened right before Hurricane Ida. If you go back looking in my library, you'll see what happened during that time frame. My mother just passed away right before Hurricane Ida. Then Hurricane Ida destroyed part of my property, destroyed my barbecue shack. I had to clean up all of the debris and cut down the trees, clean up the barbecue shack, rebuild the barbecue shack. Then my health went down, and I just had to start over from scratch. So that video went on the back burner, and I forgot about it. Now that I remember about it, it's time to do the dark roux version that I've been wanting to do ever since that video came out, to show you the contrast in it. Now, when you look online to find out about those versions, the more popular version, there's several different ways to do it. Some have diced tomatoes in it. Some don't. Some have bay leaves. Some don't. Heck, I saw one that said kidney beans in it. I was like, the hell are you doing? I quickly got off of that one. I told D all about that one. Then I saw one, there's different stuff. I saw one that had filet in it, which that's a definite if you want to amp up your spice level and your flavor. But there's many different ways to do it. Today, I will show you one of those ways. Now, we're going to begin making our shrimp stock. If you already have some made, go ahead and use that. If you can find some clam juice, you can use that too. Now, some of the recipes out there say start off with chicken stock. My best say start off with seafood stock. In Walmarts, most of the time, you can find these around the seafood department along that wall. So get you some of this. Be your best bet. Depending on how much you make, depends on how many boxes you need. I'm going to try to make a decent bit. So I'm starting off with 2 of these. 2 boxes, which is 32 ounces a piece. Now my pot is a little oversized. It is what it is. You will want to have this down to a simmer. So now you want to start off with putting in your scraps of your green onion, your bell pepper, your onions, and your celery. Since I don't have my scraps of celery because I've already pre-cut my celery beforehand, I'm just going to put a handful of celery in there. Same with my onions. Now, we're going to go ahead and put in 1 pound worth of our shells of our shrimp. Most of the recipes out there call for 2 to 3 pounds worth of shells from your shrimp, but I only need 1 pound's worth of shells because I already had some shrimp, Gulf shrimp, in the freezer. So I just pulled that out and we're going with that. And plus I'm also substituting that with the seafood stock. If you're going with chicken stock, definitely go with more of the shrimp shells. You would definitely need the 2 to 3 pounds worth of shrimp shells to amp up the seafood flavor. Now, you're going to need some Cajun spices in there. At least about a teaspoon to teaspoon and a half. Just to give it a little extra flavor. Now bring it to a boil, then let it simmer for 45 minutes. Okay, we've been simmering now for 45 minutes. We've reduced down just a little bit. We're looking good. I'm gonna go ahead now and strain this out, get all that bits and pieces out of this. Then we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next step, which is making of the good etouffee. It's gotten a little colder out here now. We moved on into the latter half of the day and I gotta bundle up. So now comes the fun part where we're making the etouffee roux. In the blonde roux, you use oil and flour. In the darker roux, you use butter and flour. Both of them takes about 7 to 10 minutes to get there. Now, that blonde roux can get darker, but it takes a lot longer to do, and it doesn't get nearly as dark. That's why it's the blonde roux. Now, in this one, you use, depending on how much you're making, I'm making a pretty decent size amount because I want to have some for the weekend. We're doing 6 tablespoons of butter. We're using non-salted butter. We're going to go ahead and let that melt down for a quick second as a log truck passes by, messing me up. Go ahead and let most of your butter melt down some before you go ahead and add in half a cup of flour. Now you just start stirring it around. This is where the 7 to 10 minutes of just constant stirring. Just wanted to pop on. We're about halfway on our timer. If you look here, you can see that we're just starting to turn a little bit of a caramel color. We're still a little ways to go, but we're getting there. There we go. See? We're pretty much there. Look at that nice, pretty much peanut butter color. Now we go ahead and start adding in the 2 cups of bell peppers. 2 cups of onions. Now, you can just do 2 tablespoons of garlic, that's fine. But I like garlic. So I'm going with about 4 tablespoons of garlic. And I'm not too big on celery. You can put in about 5 stalks of celery. But like I say, I'm not too big on celery, so I'm doing about a stalk and a half of celery. So now we're going to go ahead and let this go for about 5 minutes. Let those sweat in. Also, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add in our 1 can of tomatoes, diced tomatoes. Like I say, some recipes call for tomatoes, some recipes don't. You do you. You want to add the tomatoes, you go ahead. You don't, you don't. In the Blonde Roux version, I did not put tomatoes. In this version, I am adding tomatoes. Now we're going to go ahead and let this sweat in for the next 5 minutes. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and add in our seasoning. We're going to put in a couple tablespoons of some celery seed. A couple tablespoons of our S&S Cajun seasoning. 5 bay leaves. About a teaspoon of some salt. And about a cup and a half worth of our shrimp stock. Go ahead, mix that all around. Bring that up to a boil. Actually, I'll put in about 2 cups worth of our shrimp stock. We'll bring that up to a boil. And then we'll pull that down to a simmer for 45 minutes. All right, 45 minutes has passed. We're looking good here. Got that nice dark color of that dark roux for the more traditional shrimp etouffee. So now we're going to go ahead and add in our 2 pounds of shrimp. We're going to go ahead and let this now cook for 2 minutes. I'm sorry, 5 to 7 minutes. Where did I get 2 minutes? I probably said 2 minutes because it's 2 pounds of shrimp. 5 to 7 minutes, people. 5 to 7 minutes. We're going to go ahead and bring that heat up just a little bit more so that way it can cook. God forbid, don't do it for 2 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes, people. 5 to 7 minutes. Do not do 2 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes. Got to cook that shrimp thoroughly. Pull that heat back up to medium high. Medium high. All right. The shrimp etouffee portion is done. We still got to make the rice, but you've got two options to do now. You can either A, leave the bay leaves in and tell the people if they get a bay leaf to not eat it because it's not edible. Or two, you can go in and fish them out with your spoon to save you the hassle of telling the people the bay leaves are not edible. So it's up to you on which way you want to do it. So you do you. All right, we're moving on to the rice portion. Now, if you want to go ahead and do it the old school way, where you got to boil that water and cook that rice for like 20 minutes, that's on you. Me, I'm doing it the 5-minute way, where it's the 5-minute rice. Go ahead, boil that water, then put the 5-minute rice in, stir it around, pull it off the heat. 5 minutes later, you got rice. So, we've already got the water on the burner, waiting for that water to boil. After that, I'll show you the rest of the steps. All right, we've got boiling water. So, we're gonna go ahead and pull that top off, shut the heat. We're gonna go ahead and throw these rice in, stir it around, make sure all the rice get coated. Put that top back on and pull it off the heat. 5 minutes later, we got rice. That look good, huh? Don't you want some, huh? Sound like Juvenile, huh? Y'all might be a little too young for that song, huh? Why don't you go look up that song, huh? Bring y'all back. But anyway, let's go ahead and dig in before that light fade. Then I gotta break out more lights. Let's go ahead and dig in. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, right on point. Got all the spices together. Great flavor. Shrimp cooked just perfectly. Vegetables on point. So good. Like I say, real cheap, real simple, easy dish to do too. Do this any time of the year. Like I say, you could do light roux or you could do this dark roux. It all depends on your mood, you're doing. But like I say, you want to do this one with the butter or you can do it with the oil. But this is kind of the more traditional route to do it. But you do you. If you like what I'm doing, you know what to do. Thank you and have a good day.